Folks, we are live and we've got a special guest this week. Folks, how are you? Welcome back to another Ask Me Anything kind of episode or meeting that we do here every Thursday. I got Magic, Emily Middleton with me. We've got Jason with us today. Those of you that don't know Jason, he is really well known in the WordPress space. He's part owner at Lifter LMS, and it's awesome to have him on the call. He's also somebody that, you know, when you ask a question and I go, I don't know what that is. I don't develop. I don't do code. I just implement and problem solve. When I don't have those answers, this is somebody that can help me provide those answers. And while Ask Me Anything is really meant for people just getting started with Lifter LMS and getting exposed to Lifter LMS, we do try to take some of those advanced questions. And, you know, you see that sometimes when you watch our replays. So, Jason, welcome to the call, man.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome.
Fun.
And let's just throw it out there, right? So Jason Coleman, Kim Coleman, you guys also have Paid Memberships Pro.
Yeah.
So I always toss that out there.
PM Pro question? Okay.
Awesome product too.
Again, like, yeah, save the promotions for the end. I get the
save the promotions for the end. You got promotions today? Chris actually has me put a promotion up at the beginning, so I'm going to go ahead and get that link, and it is a 55% off. 55% off link that I'll put in for you guys with a coupon code. But while I'm searching for that, Will, why don't you tell us what you're up to this week?
Yeah, I am just doing a lot of the usual Lifter LMS consulting stuff. I'm trying to think of anything specific. A lot of Lifter Divi integrations. There's a lot of manual work that goes with that, with just kind of making sure that the site owner knows how to integrate everything. Is like, how do I use Divi on my lessons? How do you use Divi on my courses? How do I like structure modules and put together modules? There was a unique use case I saw this week as well, where somebody wanted to put their material together and then compartmentalize it, and then just pull different items into courses as they like assemble these month-over-month cohorts. So that's kind of a cool one. That's really what's up for me this week.
I had an interesting one. As you well know, I had a project where I had to do a lot of customizations involving a WooCommerce setup. And so custom product pages, custom shopping cart, custom Lifter LMS course pages, like all of this completely custom to match a Figma design. We built it as a repetitive pattern that could be used over and over to template the thing out. And the whole project's done. And I got an email yesterday morning. I opened it. I almost had a heart attack. It was like, hey, Kurt, would it be possible to change after we build all these pages? Can we change like a color or the size of the video? And would that change everything everywhere? And I was like, we're going to hop on a call right now. I need to know what you guys are talking about. So that was interesting. It was a kind of a fun way to go. For those of you that are already joining us in the comment section, welcome. As you know, you might want to go ahead and put any questions or comments into the comment area that you are watching us on. So whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, what's that gaming thing we go out to? I always forget the name of that. Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch. We do it all, man. We do it. Gen Z, we're all in, baby. So we got Gary Alderson is with us. He was with us last week, so it's good to have him. I know he's from Canada. We've got Robert with us. We've got Jane. Jane's coming in from the UK, so you know we are definitely international today. And with Robert, he says he's here from Virginia, right here in the USA. And I'm in Kansas. Will's in Minnesota. Where are you at, Jason?
Reading, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. That's where I come from.
Oh, yeah.
Just for viewers to know that. So let's jump into the first one with Robert. Well, I'm going to throw the question up there for you.
Yeah. So I currently have a Universe bundle, and I'm not completely sure what's contained in this. I also want to add assignments to my subscription, but I'm thinking it may be better to upgrade to the Infinity bundle. But when I go to the Infinity bundle, it seems to disregard the fact that I already bought the Universe bundle, just looking to pay in increments. Okay, yeah. So when you have a Universe bundle with Lifter LMS or any bundle with Lifter LMS, we're always happy to give you a discount for products you already own when you're going to upgrade. There is a button, I think, inside the Lifter LMS My Account section. I probably can't pull it up without showing a license key, but there's like an upgrade from Universe specifically to Infinity. But option you can always use, no matter what level you're at, is just email help@lifterlms.com and say, hey, this is what I have, this is what I want to upgrade to, and then they'll hook you up with a coupon just specific for you, specific for what you have that you can use on upgrade. So I'd recommend help@lifterlms.com for anyone who's considering upgrading. And yeah, assignments is included in the Infinity Bundle. And if you're not sure what's contained within the Universe Bundle, maybe we could talk about the differences between the Universe and Infinity Bundle from Lifter and kind of what comes in each package. I don't know. I'll pass it back to you, Kurt or Jason, real quick to say like what do you think about the different bundles and who they're for best, and then we could dive into the features of each one.
Yeah, it's this could take a whole hour, so we won't go too deep, but. First off, shout out for having the Universe Bundle. By having the Universe Bundle, anything that's Universe or Infinity with us, you can come to the office hours call. So we run the office hours call every Thursday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. So you are more than able to come to that, and we can walk you through all kinds of stuff. And it's more of a Zoom shared meeting than more of a webinar format, right? So Robert, I would invite you to definitely attend office hours. But looking at the screen share that Emily's got up for us, we can go through some of the details here. So we've basically got 4 main ways to get Lifter LMS, but then remember that all of the add-ons are available as individual buy-ins as well. And that's where like that big difference comes in. Like if assignments was the only thing out of Infinity that you wanted, you might run the numbers for yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to have 5 sites or less. I just want assignments in addition to the Universe Bundle. So maybe I stick with the Universe Bundle and I buy assignments. But I would urge you to consider the Infinity especially at the rate that it's on sale for right now. And because normally it's like $1,500. But if you take a look at the other features that are in Infinity, and as you develop your platform, you're probably going to find you're going to be like, oh, dang, I want advanced coupons because I want to be able to geo-restrict my coupon use. Or you're going to be like, I really want to use advanced quizzes. I want to have different question types in my testing and my knowledge checks. I want to, do cohorts. I want to run groups of students through at the same time, right? So cohorts is a very simplified way to do that. It's a great thing to have. Maybe you'll start selling your courses to different companies, and you'll want to have your reporting be able to separate people by their company name or by their employee ID number or anything like that. And that's where like Lifter LMS custom fields comes in. You could add a custom field to your forms and then have that data kick back to the profile pages. And obviously, if it's going to the profile page, then we can also push that by shortcode to other areas of the website. So there's a lot of things to consider when you jump from Universe to Infinity. It's a big jump. And right now with the sale price, it's really not a big jump financially. So it's a really good time to consider the upgrade and jump in on that. But that really makes it sound like a sales call, doesn't it? It really makes it sound like I'm getting pushy there. We don't want to be over salesy. We just want to help you find the right solution for your needs. In fact, when I first started using Lifter LMS, the absolute best version of Lifter LMS for me at the time was the free core version, because I was a corporate training manager and I was adding it to a site for a corporation I worked for. And it was like mandatory training for people internally and staff. I didn't have to sell it. I didn't have to market it. I didn't have to make an overly attractive website. It just had to have the courses, force our employees into the courses, show completion, and issue a certificate. And the free core plugin does all of that. So it really just comes down to use case and what your intended use is or what your potential for growth is over time. Is that a fair assessment, Emily?
Yeah, totally. And I know I want to pass something over to Jason. What do you think? There's been a lot of developments in the Infinity Bundle in the last year, like a lot of new stuff coming out. I mean, is there anything you can say about the latest stuff being added to the Infinity Bundle, like the coupons add-on and the there's a geolocation stuff in there? Like there's a lot of new stuff coming to the Infinity Bundle lately.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, the Infinity is basically everything. And I think, I always laugh because Chris has a term that's bigger than Infinity, that's like in case he needs like to have a bigger plan in the future. But we, from a business perspective, don't really have plans to have a bigger, bundle in the future. So if you want the peace of mind that you have access to everything and you're not missing out, and you can fit it into the budget, everything goes into the Infinity. But yeah, like you pointed out some good ones lately. There's also like the new notes add-on, I think is probably an Infinity bundle only, which is a nice feature. So as your people are taking courses on your site, they can keep notes on each lesson. Yeah, I think maybe those things that come to mind. And it comes into Infinity at first, and then if we feel that everyone is using a certain feature, it's expected, it's really required, it needs to go into the core plugin. Sometimes stuff kind of sneaks down the bundle chain into the core plugin over time.
Yeah.
But you'll get the latest and greatest if you have the Infinity.
I've been, I think, 9 years now, and Lifter's only 10 years old, right? So early adopter, man. I was in both feet. I liked it. All right. So Robert's got a follow-up question, and don't worry, folks, if you're putting your questions in chat, I'm managing the time. We're looking great. So don't freak out. Don't oh, they didn't get to me yet. Is there a way to have SkyPilot's theme just control Lifter LMS and have a second theme running to control the WordPress content I previously included in my overall website? Part of me wants to go, no, that's WordPress. That's not the way it works. But the other part of me is like, Jason, Emily, how many times do we see this question come through? It comes through a lot. And so here's the answer. The answer is, sure, it's WordPress. You can do anything you want. And the quickest, easiest way to have two themes running on the same URL is to break them into subdomains and basically have your main site run whatever theme you want and have Lifter LMS on a subdomain that can be configured, constructed, and built any way you want it to be. That's like my quickest WordPress answer. I don't have an answer that's different than that. Do either of you?
No, I think that's the best solution. Like you said, do a subdomain if you want to have a different theme. But Lifter LMS does work with a lot of themes, but the SkyPilot adds a lot of functionality to it. So subdomain sounds pretty good if you're set on running SkyPilot and set on keeping your current theme.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out and be a little counterintuitive on the call, I think. And I can see why some people get hesitant with SkyPilot, and not because SkyPilot's a questionable theme. I love the theme. I use it on multiple sites. But a lot of people are getting gun shy with full site editing from an overall WordPress perspective. So some people are like, oh, I want to use Elementor. I want to use Bricks. I want to use... And those page builders seem to integrate better with a block-oriented theme. But, and I'm seeing a ton of this, like WP Tuts, Mark Szymanski, Poodle Press guy. I mean, I'm just seeing all these folks right now having opinions about full site editing versus Gutenberg blocks versus Classic Editor versus all these page builders. And so I don't want this to become a page builder conversation. But if the question is, can I run multiple themes in the same WordPress instance? My answer to that is no. But then you could run Lifter LMS as a subdomain and tie everything together, and it still runs on your main URL.
Yeah,
that all sounds good. I would recommend looking into a subdomain or a subfolder instead of a subdomain. Sometimes that's better for SEO. It looks like the same site to Google and your users. If you want it to be two sites but still kind of feel like one site, and then I would just say I know it's a problem in WordPress in general when you like the theme was so powerful and changing your theme like really kind of breaks the site and you have to start over from scratch. The full site editing themes are in a lot of ways like smaller footprints. Like they don't control as much. They're less likely to break when you switch from SkyPilot to another full site editing theme 5 years from now. So it's possible that like you could feel the pain now, and you're less likely to feel the pain in the future if you feel like you want to switch to another kind of program to interoperate. But even so, that'd be tough. But yeah, if that's a judgment you have to make. But two different sites is a decent alternative. And there is technically some code. If you're a nerd and want to mess with the code, there is some code that will run two different themes. But you kind of are going to run into a problem, and keep running into problems, and every day run into a problem, and
don't dig that hole
every other week. No, but if you want to jump off the deep end, you can try something like that. But it's goofy.
Yeah. I want to give a special shout out to Catherine. Catherine joined the call. She's with us from Texas, and don't think I don't know who you are, Catherine. Catherine's a client that I work with off camera as well. Wonderful, wonderful lady with a super, super strong business. She has a question. If we go further down in comments, gosh, where the heck is it? Here it is. Man, I hate when that happens. Here we go. I need a Zoom style meeting for about 15 attendees. They will need to pay first before they can schedule the meeting. What do you recommend? I also want to make sure they get friendly reminders.
Zoom style meeting for 15 attendees. I would use Zoom for a Zoom style meeting, but I think that Zoom does integrate very well with Lifter. Kurt actually has a tutorial on the Lifter LMS site about how you can use Zoom alongside Lifter LMS very well. There's a lot of other solutions though that if you wanted to have like live streaming through your website, Kurt's like a perfect person to talk about live streaming into the website. And of course, you can have paid access to Zooms by putting them behind like a Lifter LMS paywall in terms of inside of a membership or inside of a course. And then as far as the friendly email reminders, I like Zoom's registration, right? Because you can have inside of a lesson a registration for a Zoom, just embedded in your lesson. People register for it, and then they'll get the email reminders from Zoom. But the only way you get the registration is by enrolling. I'll pass it around. Do either of you think that that's like a good solution? Are there any other solutions worth considering for that?
You know, my favorite thing, Emily, is to talk about use cases. And it really depends on the use case. And so usually I have a conversation with clients about this stuff. Zoom is a very straightforward, ubiquitous kind of platform. So everyone sees Zoom and they feel comfortable about it. The Zoom integration to put Zoom on your website, I especially like, and I put the resource on the screen. We should probably put that back up. There it is, Zoom resource. So we have a resource on how to install Zoom to your website right there in our blog. But what I like about it is, you know, when you share your Zoom meeting with somebody, you share the link and they get the big blue banner that says Zoom in it. If you use the Zoom integration for your WordPress website, that big blue Zoom banner gets replaced with your own branding from your website. So from a digital marketing standpoint, it was one of the things that really popped off to me. But that said, I'll be honest, Zoom's not my first go-to for embedding into the site. If I'm going to sell access to the meeting, then I'm probably just going to embed a meeting into a page that's member restricted, like you said, Will, and then I'm going to sell access through the access plans in Lifter LMS if I'm using the native payment gateway. So if that's my user path, then a much simpler integration is through a video source called Whereby, whereby.com. And Will, if you'd put that in comments, that'd be awesome. Whereby.com is, I think it's out of the Netherlands or something like that. It's an open source project. You can run meetings up to 200 people in it, and it embeds directly into your website. If you don't need to have a recording of the meeting, or you don't need to have like data that you aggregate from the meeting, then it's a really great way to go. You just throw the meeting in there and it goes. If you need to do recordings, they do have the option to record, but then you would be on a paid platform and not a free platform. So Whereby for me is awesome. There's also WP Stream, there's Jitsi, there's all kinds of things for other tools that you can use. But those are the two that I use the most. I use Zoom and I use Whereby quite a bit. For the reminders, Will's got that nailed. You can use the reminders through Zoom. You set up your meetings, it sends the reminders for you, and that part works awesome. If you go the way I recommended with Whereby, then hopefully you have a CRM tool in your website, and you would build kind of an email sequence that gets people, you know, reminders and things like that, that they get signed up into that sequence. That's the kind of thing where if you wanted to refer to like our experts link on Lifter LMS, you can go to lifterlms.com/experts, and you would be able to consult with any one of our vetted experts in that list if that's above your skill level or how much work that you want to do. Like, just because you know how to do something doesn't mean you should do it, right? Sometimes you want to hire someone to make it easier for you. So that might be something that you might want to get some help with. What do you think about integrating live meetings and stuff, Jason? Have you worked with that?
Yeah, and I have, I guess, maybe it's helpful kind of meta commentary. I know a lot of folks are often worried about people sneaking in. They want to restrict it. They want to make sure it doesn't leak out and no one gets there. And I find that people maybe worry too much about that. Like, you almost should see it as an opportunity. Say you have like, it costs, I don't know what it is, $100 a month, and you can join my meetings, and there's someone kind of like sharing the link and then their friend is getting in. like if it's a small enough group, like you'll notice like, why is Kurt on my call? He doesn't look like a member. Search my members list. I don't see a Kurt. But then you like, that's a selling opportunity. Like if it's happening a little bit on the fringes and stuff, it's like, that's just spreading the word in the sense. And I think people underestimate, especially when you're starting out, you don't want to complicate things because the technology to lock it down gets really, really crazy. And like someone could always just be like off camera watching the screen. It's like, you really can't stop people from sharing these things sometimes. But especially in the beginning, it's kind of like try to have a simpler setup to get a feel for it and don't really worry about, it being airtight security wise, and almost see that as a benefit of like, if people are, that means people like your content if they're trying to sneak in, and then you can, be reactive to that and interactive to that and try to get those people to become full-time members.
I really appreciate that.
That said, yeah. Okay.
It's reminiscent of things we've said on this call before, like when people talk about locking down videos or locking down content or disabling the right button on the mouse. And I always go back to, did you reinvent the wheel? Did you come up with some new concept that has never been discussed before? Chances are slim. It's your delivery, it's your relationship with your audience, your users, your tribe, however you want to refer to it. So people, if they're paying to access your product, your site, chances are they're paying for that connection to you and how you communicate things. They're not paying for the absolute knowledge, because that knowledge is probably available on a YouTube search. People don't like to hear that, but that's like true.
Yeah. It's like at some point it becomes worth focusing on, but especially when you're starting out, it's like, just get out there, get people in, and you can worry about that later.
Cool. I'm going to dive back to Robert. Robert asked a question about Quizlet, and Quizlet's something I've never used or heard of. So is there a way to integrate Quizlet learning sets with Lifter? Have either of you heard of Quizlet?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that's what I used in school, because it's like it's
The youngling knows.
Yeah, Youngling. You can build like flashcards and stuff, and like other. It's kind of like a H5P Lite, but it's like self-hosted, so you can kind of have these little learning resources accessible to like classrooms. So it's a lot of flashcard kind of oriented stuff. And I have no clue how to integrate that into WordPress, though. That's just like my memory from school. I assume they have an iframe, though. You can always link out to a Quizlet, but it wouldn't be private content. And I don't know if you can make Quizlets like hidden. And if you can embed them in your website, then you could absolutely use it with Lifter. But it wouldn't contribute to the reporting. People's grades on Quizlets, whether they pass or fail on one of these learning items, it wouldn't report to Lifter LMS. But you could have it in the lesson probably as an embed. I'd have to Google that, but there's probably a way to do that. H5P is good, though.
Yeah, I just went out I went out to the website and grabbed the resource for H5P, because if you're looking for something to add a feature like some kind of interactive learning asset that you want to add to your site, and you're thinking you want to, link to some SaaS platform, embed iframe code or something like that, H5P might be a better use example for you, because H5P has tons of options. And if you haven't explored H5P yet, that might be an actual better solution for what you're looking for. Unless you've already built all your stuff. That could be a pain in the rear.
Yeah, and it looks like you can embed them with like an HTML iframe. But what were you going to say, Jason?
I was going to say the same thing. I've been clicking around the site, and they do have like an embed code, so you can copy and paste that into a post. A lot of times embed code gets stripped out when you try to paste into a post. You guys have like a favorite way to get around that?
I'm not sure I know what you mean. I throw iframes everywhere, and I'm don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. And they maybe I guess if you're an administrator, you can put an iframe into a page. If you're like maybe it's role based, sometimes it gets stripped out.
Oh yeah. Like, you mean like when you take an iframe as a different role and you put it in like a blog post and publish it, it strips it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So maybe they don't do that for admins anymore. I should test. I feel like
Oh, I don't know. Like I use like bunny.net for hosting, and I use the embed frame, and I found Kim's video. I'm like, how do I embed bunny.net in WordPress? And it's Kim on Google, and I'm like, awesome.
Okay.
And it's
Nice.
just an iframe method, but maybe they fixed it, or I didn't even know.
I'll do a little test. Sometimes like I'll do a test. I think I'll test this while you're covering other questions. But Some embeds are registered by WordPress and they're okay. Like you just put a YouTube link, it becomes an embed. And I know like some embeds, I'm trying to really quick make one here.
Quizlet.
This is just copy and paste. Some are like JavaScript and then it looks like malicious code and it might get stripped out.
Oh, yeah.
But you can use like a shortcode plugin or something like that to put the code into the shortcode and embed it. But I'm gonna double check. This may be not actually necessary if you're the admin for the site.
Awesome. I'm going to jump to the next question. It's one of those questions that was pre-filled out when someone wanted to join the call today. And it says, I want to be able to stream my courses directly into my clients' LMSs without their employees having to set up individual logins. Okay, this is going to be a confusing answer. And it's so weird about the timing on it because I'm doing a lot with SCORM right now. So I think this question probably came from somebody that is using SCORM. So if you're on a custom SCORM LMS and you want to distribute the SCORM material, there's hosted sources like hosted SaaS platforms like what we call SCORM Cloud. SCORM Cloud allows you to distribute the learning content to multiple channels, but aggregate the results through the learning record store to the home LMS. It's like a kind of a complicated way to talk about things. One of the things I would recommend this user to do, and I don't have a user name because it was just an email that came through in the form, not a name. But one of the things I would recommend for this user would be to look at a product called Bright, BRIGHT. Look at Bright and look at that in relationship to SCORM and their product with SCORM Cloud. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I've already talked to the people that run Bright, and we may be looking at they may be looking at doing an integration that'll apply to Lifter LMS in the future. But that's like one of the only, it's so weird that this question came through because it's like one of the only use cases I could think of where I would actually want to host my SCORM content away from my LMS. Like typically we recommend people use Lifter LMS and a combination of Lifter LMS, GrassBlade, and GrassBlade LRS. And between those three tools, you're able to run SCORM in your website, have the reporting sync to the Lifter LMS reporting, and have your LMS work the way that you intend it to show your SCORM content and have the reporting. And we show people how to do that. But when you get this question about distribution and putting the content to other channels, that's not the way that we're built because we are the LMS, right? It's kind of a hard way to describe that. But if you want to be in the SCORM distribution business, then you probably want to look at SCORM Cloud using a product called Bright, and then possibly in the future tying that to a home LMS based on Lifter. That's an involved question, but it's not a real answer, I don't think.
Yeah, and you might there might be some other caveats to that question where it's like, oh, I don't need reporting, so you could just like maybe embed WordPress content in a different website and be like, look, here's how you embed the content of my page in your website. That might do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to throw this one up on the screen, and I'm hesitant to do so, but I'm just going to do it. I know that this particular individual's probably emailed us 25 times. But can I please get a 90% discount for the Infinity lifetime license because I'm starting out and I'm not sure how the customers will respond? The short answer is no. Like we've already turned down the offer, and 90% we can't come to the table with that. But the reason I put the question up on the screen, and I want to be fair, and I want to democratize learning and do all the things that's part of our mission here at Lifter LMS, and that's we have a scholarship program. Go to our website, look up our scholarship program, make an application for that, let us know your intended uses. Maybe you can have some kind of an offer or a startup to try it for a year or a period of time to see if you can find success. We recognize that we're in a global economy and not everybody in every region of the world has the funding to do the things that we want to see accomplished on the internet. And so the reason I put the question up and addressed it publicly like this is because there's probably a ton of people that watch this or watch the replay. So there are opportunities to get Lifter LMS and accesses to Lifter LMS at discounted rates based on regions and intended use. And like I said, through the scholarship program. So I would encourage people that are in those shoes to not just write us off and say, well, I can't afford it, so I'm just not going to do it. My dream is dead. Your dream's not dead. Get in touch with us. Use team@Lifter LMS as an email. You can send us a question. You can send us a request. And like I said, follow through on the scholarship process, and we'll see if there's a way that we can help you and get you launched. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jason?
No, that sounds good. And I think if this person is truly starting out, they don't need a lifetime license right away. They can set up the free version and see if the free version is working. And a lot of times, like people, it's very similar to the I need my content to be perfectly locked down, don't let people into my videos. But it's like, this is only going to work if I'm using every single one of Lifter's add-ons. It's like, build your course, build it as simple as possible, get it out there, get feedback, iterate on it over time. And then again, like the lifetime license, you can get the Infinity bundle for half price now, which is less than 10% of the lifetime price, and try it out. And you'll have access to support and all the add-ons and everything for a year at that price you want. And if it is working out for you, then you can upgrade to lifetime at the end. And we always, what's the word, like prorate things so that if whatever you paid for last time gets added onto the, your next purchase when you're upgrading. So you could get Infinity for half price, try it out, try everything out. And then if everything's going well, upgrade to the lifetime on Black Friday or something like that.
Yeah. One of the things that you said, I've been really transparent about on this series, and that is just because you have Infinity doesn't mean every project needs every add-on. I've seen a lot of people go, oh, well, I paid for it, so I'm going to throw in the social learning. I'm going to do the advanced quizzes. I'm going to do assignments on every lesson. And you end up building this giant, complicated, huge thing with no students or users yet. And we've talked about that multiple times, where a minimal viable product to get your content out is like the first step. It's like, and then we have a whole series in the Academy about that, about how to get to your first 10 paying students, how to get to your first 25 paying students, and then different ways that you can scale your project as it grows. It's really important to get launched and not get lost in the stuff.
Another way, this comes up in development too, when we're like making a version 1 and these really good features are almost ready to launch, but they're not ready. And they're like, let's just wait, and then we'll include them. And they're like, it's nice to have stuff ready for version 2 and keep that momentum going. So when you launch the site, there's not so many features. The content and the focus of the site is very focused. People know where to go. They're not kind of lost, especially as you're starting out. You have 10 people on your site, and one of them is active in the social, one of them is active on the videos, one of them is active on your site. Like you just spread out your users across your site instead of having them all focused in one place while you start out. And then as you build momentum, it's really nice to be like, hey guys, we got a new thing this month. I'm launching, groups, so you guys can hang out in the groups. And then you get everyone focused on this new thing that you're launching at once. And they're like, hey, we're trying a new thing. We're doing Zoom calls now, so there's a Zoom, you can get everyone focused on the Zoom calls rather than if you have 15 different features at launch and it feels like there's a lot there. I think people, maybe it's like a confidence thing almost. I think people feel like this isn't enough. I'm charging for something. I need more. And it's like, you'll be surprised. Like you said, Kurt, they're buying access to you. You hopefully have proven to them through your marketing and your content and other things and how they found you that you're a valuable person with good information, so I think have some confidence in the courses that you're selling access to and see how far you can get with that before you start kind of getting into the add-ons.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to switch gears. We're going to move over to a question from Chris Lassiter. Chris Lassiter is one of the experts at lifterlms.com. He's also been on LMS Cast, and he does a lot with artificial intelligence. So if that's something you're interested in, you might want to connect with him through the experts link. But he brings a question to us this call. It says the client can only buy one class at a time, can't buy one class for multiple people. Correct. That's a safeguard that's built into Lifter LMS so that people don't accidentally buy into the same membership twice or buy into the same course twice and then burden you with support tickets and refund requests and things like that, right? So it says, I'm thinking the client could buy vouchers. Absolutely. Vouchers is like, it's like a paid ticket. Could buy vouchers, never used vouchers before, not a problem. In fact, we cover vouchers a lot. And, if we don't get time to do it today here, we could do it on the office hours call with you, Chris, but nor buy multiple classes. So there's a lot of ways to go, Chris. One, you're on the Infinity bundle, so you could leverage groups and you could allow someone to buy a lot of access to a membership or a course for multiple people through the group. And the thing that's cool about the group is if you do the invite through the group and they're the group leader, all of that reporting information is available to the group leader through the front end of the website, which is really kind of cool. So the group is not a social group in Lifter LMS. It's more like an admin group. So it's where they manage the users that have access to the content, and they also get access to the reporting right there on the front end. That's one of the reasons I like groups so much. The other thing, like you mentioned, is vouchers. So you could say, hey, you want to buy 100 tickets to this course. So you would go in, you would create a voucher, 100 tickets to that course. You could have one voucher that's good for 100 uses. You could have 100 vouchers that are all good for one use. They can all be unique. And if you were to create a spreadsheet of different voucher codes against users, you would actually be able to kind of track who used what and how. Hey, Emily, would you be able to do a screen share of vouchers pretty quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So taking a look at the back end of a Lifter site, we find vouchers under the orders section. And sometimes people get confused between vouchers and coupons, and they do serve separate functions. A coupon is going to be used on what Lifter calls an access plan. You might have seen this on a course or membership. When you set like $100 one-time purchase, a coupon would be maybe 50% off of that. But with a voucher, you're going to use the registration process like Kurt was talking about. So if you're having a company buy in bulk, you might say company Lifter LMS. If Lifter LMS buys training to your platform, then you'd create a Lifter LMS voucher. You'd give them access to certain courses. Maybe the deal that was done separately was for 10 seats in this course and 10 seats in this course. So we would do 10 vouchers with 1 use per code. And like Kurt said, you could do it either way. You could do 10 uses per code, or you could do a bunch of codes. You could customize these if you wanted to manually customize this for the company buying from you. Or we could leave it like that. Once we publish our vouchers, they will now be available to use in that registration form. We can see the redemptions as people come in and use the voucher. We'll see the email of who signed up with the vouchers. And then we can also email the CSV file to the person who paid us directly, who owns the company or runs the company or bought the vouchers. We can email it to them. And then we could even generate them redeemed codes later. And for anyone who wants to know where vouchers are going to be used, those are on the registration form. So when people register for the website, this is not an access plan. It's not going to be a purchase or a checkout. There's this option for have a voucher on the bottom of this form. And then my recommendation is to enable, open registration, so that people can register when they're on that login page, when they see the login shortcode or the, I'll log out here. If I sign out and
sign out and sign back in.
Sign out. Yeah, sign out, sign back in. Is it not doing it? I'm going to go to the dashboard and sign out. It's thinking. Here we go. So now I have my registration form. So people with a voucher would come to your website and they'll use this have a voucher option right here. And that's how they'll get in using the voucher codes and how you can create them on the back end.
Yeah, vouchers has been around for, it seems like a ton of time, right? It's like one of the original things, but it's a super powerful tool. I've used it a ton. And before groups came out, it was like the cleanest way that I could think of to have people sign up en masse. But then once we released groups, I was super excited to leverage groups whenever I could. Yeah,
they work very similarly.
This next question's kind of large. It might cover up Jason's head. Here we go. Says, this one's from Jonathan Pickett. Technical question about data migration. We haven't purchased Lifter yet, so apologies if this is really easy. First off, no apologies. No question is too simple or do weird on this call. So we have an existing LMS, and once we have established Lifter, we'd ideally like to migrate all of our existing users over instead of getting them to re-register. That is a really good strategy because whenever you change platforms, there's a certain amount that through attrition just isn't going to make it, right? So if you had 1,000 paying users and you change LMSs and then you're asking everybody to re-register or resubscribe to something, especially if it's a paid service, you're probably going to lose 20-25% of your users. So that's something you always want to think about from a business perspective. Says, I'm wondering if there's a method for importing the user tables from the old system into the Lifter databases, or even just importing a CSV list we can create offline from the old database. We have an option we can recommend right away, Honors WP with the transfer tool, depending on what LMS you're coming from. And so let's say you're going from LearnDash to Lifter. If you're going from LearnDash to Lifter, the easiest thing that I can think of, especially if you have a user count that is substantial, is to use the Honors WP transfer tool. You'd put that plug in, you'd follow the process, and it would migrate users, usage, courses. It can migrate everything over for you. So that's a really smooth way to go. But I think I want to defer to either Emily or Jason to kind of fill in on a more manual process.
Yeah, I guess Jason, you want to take that one?
So funny, I've never given this advice in the context of Lifter, so I'm curious what two of y'all's input is.
Don't worry, we're only live.
But yeah, the Honors migration is useful in particular if you want to if you're also importing and exporting your courses and you want to keep which students are in which courses, and some of the other information like completion and stuff like that gets imported over. If you just want to import users, there's a couple options. There's a tool we like called WP All Import, and I think the user import might be or certain features of user import you might want, like extra information is like a paid add-on, but it'd be like a one-time fee, I believe. And then there's also another plugin on WordPress.org called Import Users from CSV that does exactly that. So if you have a CSV file with different columns for the different names, you can import that, and you just get just the users and their information in as users, and they're not necessarily students yet or enrolled in courses and things like that. And then everyone has to change their password to gain access. So you send an email to your group and say, hey, we have a new system. One of the features of the new system is that it has enhanced security. So you all have to change your password, hit up this link, reset your password, log in that way. So hopefully that's some options.
And then I'm just going to take my easy route out. I'm more of a project manager than any kind of developer. I'm really, really clear and transparent about that. I've hired people through the Lifter LMS experts link to just help me migrate user data. I didn't want to do it, so I just hired someone to do it. It was just I knew it could happen. I just didn't want to figure it out.
Data entry. So
we can move on. Are we good?
Sure.
Emily, this next one's going to be about custom fields again. So we've answered this one a few times, but this question's worded a little differently. So pre-purchase question, I need to ensure individual PDF certificates can't be borrowed. So adding a date of birth or other unique number would be useful. Is it possible to add fields to registration details? So you got a couple of things going on there. First off, the certificate that Lifter LMS generates, there's a record of all the awarded certificates that the site generates. So when you're in the back end of Lifter LMS and you go to engagements and you see certificates, you can see award a certificate. So you could send one to somebody, to a user, and then there is awarded certificates. So you have a history of all the certificates that your LMS has awarded to people. So that's one way to know, did someone take a PDF and re-edit it and put someone else's name on it and send a different PDF to somebody? If that's actually a thing, then you have a record of all your awarded certificates, so you can validate if something is real or not. But the other thing is, absolutely, we do have a Lifter LMS custom fields that can be added to our forms. That data goes to the profile, and then that profile data can be embedded into the certificate process. And I'm looking at the time, Emily. I think we got time. Can you show some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. If I could start real quick, that last question had kind of a caveat to it. When you import with like WPL import export, what you're looking at real quick is Lifter LMS has Lifter LMS user post meta, which determines like which users are enrolled in which courses. And this is going to be different than the user meta table. So this is a different table. And so you do need to be aware that like Lifter LMS enrollment statuses, start dates, and things like that are stored in a different place. So if you're doing a manual migration or an automatic import, you're going to need some data to go in here for Lifter LMS to know what's going on, because it's a separate table from user meta, which WPL import's usually going to be used to. But yeah, talking about certificates, I'm not logged into my demo site. Let me log in real quick.
I'm logged out from the last time.
I'm logged out from the last time when we were talking about vouchers, but now I'm logged in again. So let me share my screen. Here we go. So taking a look at the Lifter LMS certificate system, like Kurt said, we have certificates and awarded certificates. Sometimes that can be a little bit confusing until you really understand what's going on here. Certificate templates, that's what you see when you view this page here. So these are going to be when you're designing your certificates. Lifter LMS gives you some nice out-of-the-box templates, and it uses the block editor, so it's pretty easy to add what you'd like to your certificate templates. It'll look a little bit different on the back end than it does on the front end, so always make sure to check the front end. We can do things like changing the background photo. If I wanted to, how do I change that item? Set background image. I'm on a demo, so I would need the Lifter LMS graphics pack because I don't think I have any preloaded certificate backgrounds. This one.
Use that spiral there. There you go.
This the spiral?
Spirals, diamonds. I don't care.
Yeah, that feels a little chaotic, but that's all right.
I like
right
chaotic.
Yeah, so, but it's pretty easy to change the image. You can change the size. You can change a lot of the things about how the certificates work. It's all in blocks, and one of the features Lifter LMS adds to the block editor, this is not just on certificates, but on all pages, is this option for shortcodes. So if you're using Lifter custom fields and you're collecting like license number or something when people register, you can use that license number on your certificate. You can also do things like on the front end of your website, say, hi, Emily, hi, Kurt, and have this automatic first name. Whatever the user's first name, it will automatically fill it in. As you can see here, it's going to be first name, last name, has completed the certificate. And once it's all formatted, we'll create an engagement to fire the certificate off. If we go to engagements, add new, we'll say, we don't want to give the student a certificate when they create an account. We probably want to say when you complete a course, select a course. When you complete the business budgeting course, you're going to get awarded a certificate, and then I'll select which certificate, the one that I had probably designed in my course or certificate templates. And then once that engagement is set up, we can see the people who are earning the certificates right here. We can see this user has earned the business budgeting certificate. And we can see all that from the back end of our site. That's kind of an overview of how certificates work. It's a pretty versatile system. Is there anything else you think we should cover there?
And you may have just said it. I was sorry. I was copying the discount code to show it at the end of the session.
Okay.
But did you cover like the certificate can be printed, it can be downloaded, and it can be shared? Because there's the option to have a shareable link to the certificate as well. So you can enable sharing so that you could take that link and put it like in social media, and it would pop up and people could see it.
Yeah. So you can always print your certificates, even if you're using the free Core Lifter plugin or any version of Lifter. You can print the certificates, save them as a PDF with the print function. Lifter LMS PDFs turns this save button into PDFs automatically. Sometimes people get confused going through the print dialog where they're not going to their printer, but you can save as a PDF when you use a print dialog. But if you want this save button, it's usually going to be an HTML file with Lifter LMS out of the box, so it kind of looks just like it does on the website. But then you can have a PDF save automatically if you're using Lifter LMS PDFs add-on. And then sharing, like Kurt said, we can enable sharing. And this is nice because it allows us to share our certificate out to the web. If we want to share, like, I know like LinkedIn has certifications and stuff, but if you're offering certifications for certain things on your website that you're Emily Middleton certified to know how to use WordPress, I can have that certificate and allow you to share that on social. And so that's the sharing feature of certificates.
Perfect. We've got a question from Rupak, can I start selling courses with the free version? Short answer, yeah. Sell something. Get going. Like, you can pre-sell courses. You can do like the free Core Lifter plugin has a thing called the manual payment gateway. So you can create the payment structure any way that you want. You can be out on the curb with a coffee cup collecting coins. You can send invoices through Stripe manually, through PayPal manually, through other payment gateways manually. You can create revenue anywhere off channel that you want, and then you can activate access to the courses or memberships manually through the manual payment gateway. So you can absolutely start selling courses with the free version. What I love to say, and maybe this is a weird way to phrase things, but Lifter LMS gives you everything you need for free to get going and start your business. You can run your learning material, you can put out your courses, you can segment things into memberships, you can manage your members, you have reporting for everything. You can build the whole thing for free. But when you want to start creating revenue for yourself through the platform or marketing through the platform, that's when the add-ons come into play. And that's where, there's a little bit of investment on your part, skin in the game, to expand, grow, and scale your learning platform. And I think that's just a fair way to phrase things. So there's a way that you can do that. We did get a thank you from Catherine. We got a thank you from Jane. Catherine did have a follow-up question. I'm looking, it's 12:53. We're still doing good on time. Catherine says, is it possible to text login details, troubleshooting support directly to our customers? We would like to have the ability to do both. Well, we have the Twilio integrations for SMS texting, but I'm not exactly sure how to fully answer the question.
Yeah, the Twilio integration with Lifter LMS, we have some documentation on this, but I don't actually have it on this website. But basically what it does is when you're in the Lifter LMS settings notifications area, you'll have some additional notifications you can set up. So you can like text people when they complete a course and stuff like that, or text the site owner. Also, it adds new engagement settings, so you can create text messages based on certain triggers in your website. But that wouldn't be troubleshooting like text support with people, like if you're trying to text people to troubleshoot issues. But I think Twilio is a good solution for that. Like if I were setting something up, someone came to me with that problem, I would go to Twilio and say, how can we integrate Twilio with a support inbox or something like that? And there are ways to do that. So if you want to handle support over text message. So it would be Twilio, but not Lifter LMS direct with Twilio, but I would use Twilio to support inbox kind of setup.
Yeah, I always, when people start saying like support, right? I'm always like, okay, well, what level of support? Like, are you doing an email form capture, like Gravity Forms, WP Forms, any kind? You put a form on your website. Need support? Boom, click here. And so you could have that. But then if you have a more intricate project and you have like staff and things like that, there's third-party SaaS applications that typically people leverage for support. But Fluent has a whole support thing that you can put right in your website. So if you use Fluent Form, Fluent CRM, and you're already in the Fluent ecosphere, you could leverage Fluent support. And then I believe, gosh, don't hold my feet to the fire on this one, but I think that they've got a SMS integration available as well through that tool. So that might be a way that you would activate SMS communication with customers through the support link. But that would be, again, that's not entry-level stuff. That's, okay, you're going to be integrating multiple levels of CRM, form tool, support tool, and then setting and configuring all that up to be able to communicate with your audience.
One other thing you could do is like a Google Voice number or like a Grasshopper number, where you just give multiple people access to a Google Voice account or a Grasshopper account. That's pretty good. We did that at Lifter at one point.
I did the app to phone thing. They got a lifetime deal right now. You can get it for $99, and you can put, it's called Phone 2 is the name of it. So it's called Phone 2, and exactly what Will said, but it was $99 for lifetime access. I can have multiple phone numbers, and I can put multiple people on each number. So yeah, there's all kinds of options out there. It really just depends on again, use case. I always go back to use case. It's so important to know, like, what am I really trying to accomplish? What is the real, span of audience or tribe that needs this asset, this tool, this feature? And is that really a reason that I'm not going to be able to grow my business? I really jump into, practical use case with expenses and investments that way. All right, we are at 57 minutes into the hour. Is there anything you guys want to discuss? Anything new? Is there anything new coming, Jason? Jason, you're muted.
Thanks. Two quick things on that login. I kept rereading that question about the login details. But here's some things to look for, like magic links or one-time passwords or SMS login. I haven't used these before, but I'm finding some WordPress plugins that integrate with Twilio that just let people log in with their phone. So I don't know if that's some version of what they're looking for. Around what's coming new, at Lifter we build things in cycles. So every quarter we have a cycle. And right now we are in between cycles. So we're writing pitches so we get the ideas, they bumble up through. I took notes here around like Sky Pilot vouchers, some notes and things as they come up. Those become, we discuss them, then we have pitches and we write, it's kind of like, hey, should we do this? Should we build this? So we're in the pitch writing process. And in a few days, then we get together and figure out what we're coding for next time. Anyway, that's where my mind's at. But we do have actually a 7.7 release that we're testing internally. So let me load up the changelog to see what got into that. Yeah, let me see if I can find this.
And I noticed that last release of WordPress seemed to have a lot of changes too.
Yeah.
So I can see course creators actually being able to have more freedom to, like the negative margin space and stuff like that. Like the way I just looked at the release for WordPress, I was like, oh, some of the freedom that people have been looking for from a design perspective is actually coming to WordPress core now.
I missed what you were saying there. Hold on. Let me try to grab this. Time's ticking. I need a minute. Oh, we literally only have a minute. Where did I put this? My head is fried. I'm nervous to, I was saying like that V1, V2, there's something for next. So I'm nervous if I rely on my memory, I'm going to talk about something that actually isn't in 7.7. We decided to push off to the next version. And so I really I want to confirm with the list. All right, I'll open the README and look at the changelog and see what's in here. I got it. I got it. Yeah. All right. New features. Adding a read-only input for easier sharing of the certificate. Oh, there used to be a bug. Sometimes those share links are kind of flaky if your site's having JavaScript errors or something's weird or someone's using an awkward browser. So it actually makes it easier to copy the link out. A big change that kind of will come out in phases is we added some logic to the core plugin for protecting files that are up. So a lot, if you embed images and things into your quizzes, by default, those are kind of hidden from people. But if like a savvy hacker type was looking at the website, they could find like where that image is and find it and share it. So we added into the core plugin some basic logic for protecting images, and it's going to initially quiz questions are going to get protected. But once that's out in the core plugin, kind of any image you can think of, like inside of a course or potentially in groups, images that get shared. Actually, I think we haven't added sharing of images in groups because we're worried about protecting them. And this is like a weird technical challenge of like WordPress can run on any number of hosting sites. So it's really hard to get that right to make sure that people who aren't logged in can access an image. But we figured that out. So now that's going to be in core, but actually we'll have more updates about that over time as kind of different features of Lifter take advantage of that. So new Elementor native support. So you might be already using Elementor with Lifter LMS, but we added, I think Elementor calls them widgets, but like kind of like a bunch of the Lifter LMS blocks and shortcodes now have like an Elementor native version. And there's some like kind of nice to haves around building things with Elementor and Lifter LMS. Let's see here. We fixed some bugs. Those aren't fun to talk about. But yeah, that's some fun stuff. Yeah, well, no, tons of security fixes in there.
At the risk of cutting you off, we have gone a couple minutes over. I do want to thank people. The comments are saying it was a great session, right? But it's only great because you folks came, you guided us with the right questions, the right way to add the input. I'm glad that we're here to answer some questions and put things to bay. Super glad that Jason was able to join us today. And with that, let's wave to the folks and show the goodbye sign.